How to cut your bangs or fringe at home. Ladies, I know this is a tough time. All of us are trapped in the house and we are ready to take the shears and chop off all our hair, or the random, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, you've been drinking too much and you want bangs. So what I'm gonna do is share some helpful tips on how to prevent a major disaster and end up like this, or how to really just simplify what you're looking to do without making a complete mess. The first thing is you're going to need some sort of tools, whether they're clips like this, or you've got somehow happen to have metal little clips like this. Anything you can do to clip your hair out of the way is going to be helpful. A comb. Now, I'm assuming that most of you may not have some sort of hair cutting comb. I do sell combs on my website, shop.thesalonguy.com. This exact one that I use, I have them in white and red. Buy yourself a comb, or go anywhere and buy some sort of hair cutting comb. It's really gonna be very, very helpful. Next, the shears you're using. I don't really suggest using kitchen shears or arts and crafts shears. Because they're not that sharp and it may actually cause a lot of uneven cuts in the hair. Go on Amazon and purchase a set of hair cutting shears. I've seen ones as low as like, I don't even know, 40 bucks, 30, 40 bucks. They're not like the greatest as far as what professionals may use, but at least they're hair cutting type scissors. It's really, really important that you have something that is going to be able to cut the hair in a very even, precise manner. Next is, what type of bangs do you want? Do you want to have a very, very heavy type fringe or bang area, meaning it starts, way back here on the hair, where, they're gonna be very, very, very heavy, and you really wanna see a strong fringe shape in the front. Something like this, which is a lot of hair. It's a lot of hair, but that's, again, if you want a very, very heavy fringe, meaning you don't want to have any separation, you really want this to be a solid piece. Or do you want a sweeping fringe, which means you may need to take a little bit less hair, right? Less hair from the section, so it's not so thick, but at the same time you want the hair to kind of sweep over, and you want the hair to not be so heavy. A sweeping bang or sweeping fringe works if you've got the right haircut and if you've got the right hair texture or amount of hair. Because if you're trying to do sweeping bangs and you take way too much hair, what happens is it's gonna look like a heavy clump, right? So you have to make sure you're taking just the right amount. When I'm doing any sort of sweeping fringe or anything like that, I'm making sure that I'm not making the section very, very thick. And that's really crucial, because I've noticed in my experience that the hair just doesn't move enough, right? The hair does not move enough because of all the weight from the other section, right? The other hair. This usually, to me, is an ideal amount of hair if you're looking to create mostly any type of bang or fringe, right? The key about sweeping hair is that you have to make sure that the hair is long enough to sweep over, not so long that it's way down into here and you're trying to get a sweeping bang and it's not working because it's too long, and you definitely don't want to cut it too short, right? A lot of times you may think, oh, let me just take the scissors and I'll cut it on an angle going this way, and you start way up here. Next thing you know, you've got bangs that are up to here, and it's a complete disaster. You really need to be careful. So figure out how thick do you want to have the fringe. If you're looking, now here's another one. If you're looking for like a little baby kind of bang or baby fringe, something like this, it really comes down to the amount of hair that you're taking. Think of it this way. Less hair, less bangs, right? The more hair you have, the thicker and heavier the bang's gonna be. So if you're looking for something that's just gonna be kind of a few pieces coming down here, something very, very soft that you can just kind of brush over this way, and very peekaboo type bangs, then you want to take less hair in your section this way. Just keep in mind, and this is also the next big thing, is that when you're cutting this, if you don't take that much of a section with hair, just keep in mind everything on top of that may fall in the face like this. All right, so you have to make sure you have a haircut that really is going to blend well and complement the shape. Right, so you don't want to have a very, very light fringe this way, and then all this is one length, because this is just going to fall on top, unless you're constantly brushing this out of the way. Where the hair falls is the next one. Your natural parting really is important when it comes to picking out where you want to section your hair. I always tend to go with a middle, like a triangle type section in through here, so it's not just straight across and boom, you've got bangs, because this is going to fall on top of it. Trust me, I've seen it a million times. That's why I try to find the natural part, or usually somewhere in the middle, and I'll create a triangular section this way, going from the point of origin to around the corner of the eyebrow, because that's typically where you want to cut them, or where the hairline is, right? Or where the recession line is, where the hair starts to go back into the corners. That's usually a good area of what you want to do. You just don't want to start taking hair from the side over here, because you're going to create a chunk. You definitely don't want to, you want to just take it to where the hair naturally wants to fall, right? And you can do that by just, do it piece by piece. Take your time. You're doing this yourself, so take your time and see, well, where does my hair actually continue to fall, and where does it stop? So here, you can see, there we go. We did it. We took our time, and now we realize we're not going into the side anymore, or at all. We're literally just cutting and sectioning what needs to be cut, which is right in through here. Usually it's pretty much the corner. That is really, really, really important, because the sectioning and the placement of the bangs based off of your natural parting is really, 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 really going to be helpful. You don't ever want to take a section right in the corner or the hairline like that. Like I just mentioned, you're going to have a big chunk. So now that you may have your section, what is the next step? Now, I suggest cutting this with the hair fully dry. The reason is because I've seen a lot of times, if you spray the hair down and you comb this down, you may say, oh, this looks like a perfect length right here, right? You'll cut this straight across. Next thing you know, these are going to jump up right in through here. Definitely a disaster. You don't want to do that when, especially when the hair is wet. I'm seeing a lot of people twisting the hair like this, and then taking it and cutting all that hair off. What's going to happen? Well, let's do an experiment right now. Let's pretend that I'm doing this myself and I'm cutting my own bangs, and let's twist this and see what happens. So I'm twisting and twisting. I'm not going to use any comb. I do want to leave these a little bit longer, just because I want to have something to work with to show you guys for demo purposes. But, I want my bangs to be right here. So I'm going to start cutting like this. I suggest point cutting, which I see a lot of people doing. They're taking their time. And there it is. This is the infamous bang trim I see all the time on the internet. So we're going to unwind it, and look what happens. You've got a nice little fringe in through here, but you may have left a lot of these pieces longer. Again, it really depends on what you're looking to do. If you want to have all this side piece in through here, then actually they came out really pretty good, didn't it? This is the best bang trim I ever gave in my life right here, folks. Look at this. No, but seriously, the pointing is cool. Where people make a mistake is, if you notice what I did, I left a little bit of the hair longer. The problem is when people bring it up here and they go, oh, I want my bangs to be this long. And they'll cut all this hair off, and then what happens is it just creates, it's way too short, all right? Another way to do it is and this is really, really helpful. You take the comb. I suggest using the fine teeth of the comb. You comb underneath the hair. The base of the comb is locked in on your forehead, and you simply bring the comb all the way down to the bridge of your nose, and you lock it in place. You do not move it whatsoever. There's no tension, and now you're able to cut the hair at the length that's desired. And why do I do this on dry hair? Because I'm not going to make the hair shrink up. So I'm trying to get this in a good angle. I apologize for the elbow. I'm not moving. I'm not moving. The comb is steady, and I'm cutting straight across, and voila, now we've got nice bangs, okay? We've got nice straight across bangs, and if you need to go back in, because it's a little bit longer in the corners here, then you go about doing that. You're using the comb as a guide like this, right? That's gonna give you very, very straight across fringe. If you're looking to soften that up a bit, you can comb the hair, you can bring the hair up, and there's a lot of excess length and weight, a lot of weight. You just trim that off right there, and then suddenly you've created a little bit of a softer layer and some movement in throughout the bangs. You could also take them, same exact way, and point cut. Point cutting is where you're going in with the shear and you're closing the shear on the way out, right? You're closing a shear on the way out. You could also do it with the comb, lock it in, and then point cut on the ends. What you really don't want to do, again, guys, is you don't want to cut the hair too short. That's really the problem. Now, I didn't wash this, and the hair obviously isn't wet, but if you do want to wet it and then blow dry it to get rid of this part, then you can actually go about doing that because it's a pretty severe part. That's where if the hair isn't heavy enough or the section isn't heavy enough, what's going to happen is that you may get that split. If you don't want the split, you simply need to take a heavier section. Now watch what I said before. Remember I said the hair is going to fall down if it's not thick enough? This is what happens when people have, the bangs aren't thick enough, right? This always happens. So what's happening is you're constantly brushing your hair out of your face. This is what I see the most. That's why you need to have a haircut that everything is kind of blended in together or worked in from that shape. Meaning that if the bangs are here, this then needs to kind of work into this angle so that all this hair is not falling forward. Now, if you're okay with a bunch of hairspray and pushing all this back, and you want to have something just like this, then that's totally cool. Just keep in mind that the heavier the hair, and if it's not thick enough, the hair may want to all fall forward, which is going to cause it to be very, very heavy. So another couple of tips, if you are looking to, say, soften this up or blend it a little bit, find the part in the corner here that was last cut or the longest piece of that fringe area. You can then comb the hair down like this, and you can, what we call is slide cutting, where you actually just slide the scissors down the hair this way, and what that's doing is it's opening up that shape there and not giving such a harsh solid line. Now look what's happened. We still have this, but when we brush the hair back, look what we did. See, we created that little feather right there, which actually helps so it's not super heavy, and you could also kind of play around where you're combing the hair up like this and just this is more advanced. I wouldn't probably try this, but as you can see what we did there, just by creating a little bit of an angle, we soften up the whole fringe area just like that. If you want to have something now that goes into the haircut, that's incorporated into the layers, you then may need to cut it completely differently where you're actually cutting the hair on an angle, meaning you're bringing the hair all forward this way. You want your hair to start at a certain point, right? Let's say right there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cut the hair going downwards on an angle. And this is why cutting the hair dry, you're getting instant results. And look, within a few snips, look what we've done. We've managed to create a face frame and a sweeping type layered fringe over here, so it kind of works into the haircut a bit more, right? And that's the whole key. If you're trying to create something that works into the haircut, you can't have this too short. That's where it may end up being a disaster. Ladies, please be very, very careful with this. I want to say don't try this at home, but you're forced to try this at home because of being in quarantine. Experiment, but just do it very slowly, very carefully. Watch this video and go back so it helps you understand the importance of the amount of hair, the placement of it, you know, where to cut them and how to cut them. It's all going to be very, very helpful. So let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you try this and you find the video very helpful. I also have tons, dozens probably, of other videos on cutting bangs too, which may be helpful, but I really want to make something that you guys can watch in these current times. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for more videos with a Salon Guy.